Hi guys, it's Chantelle from Vantage, and I am here today to show you around what we think it's really important to have a cash flow budget and a profit and loss budget. So we're going to take you through, use a little scenario and show you the difference between the two. Don't mind my not neatly ruled lines, but we'll run with it. So we're going to use Joe. So Joe is a builder. And we're going to make it really easy by saying Joe earned $100,000 of revenue for the 2022 financial year. So because Joe earned $100,000, he is GST registered. Because if you're over 60, you have to be GST registered. He had expenses like petrol, accounting fees, materials for customers. He's paying himself drawings, not wages. And in the first year, he decided to purchase a new ute worth $40,000, and he's paying that off over 5 years. So when he comes to the end of the financial year, he sits down with his accountant, and Joe's thinking, I've made $50,500 in net profit, but I can't pay my tax bill. Where is all my money gone? And I hear this quite often. So you could have 100K of net profit left at the end of the financial year, and you're like, where's the 100,000, right? Because that's kind of what it makes you think. Like, I should have 100,000 in my bank. But I'm going to show you why Joe doesn't have $50,500 left. So, in the income side, so if we go, we've got two little things down here. So we've got a profit and loss, and we've got a cash flow. And I'm putting all the income and all the expenses into one column to make it really easy. But we're going to go 100,000. Okay. So in the profit and loss, he earned $100,000 of revenue. Now, remembering that Joe is GST registered, if it was cash flow, he's earned $115,000, because your profit and loss is always excluding GST and your cash flow includes it. So those are the two main differences there. In his expenses column, he spent $40,000 of expenses. And in the cash flow, it was $46,000 because of GST again, and we're making it really easy and making it everything had GST in it. So nice and easy. Remembering that Joe purchased a ute, so he paid 40 grand for that ute. He put it on a loan that he was paying off over 5 years. So it's not going to be in your profit and loss, because a loan would be a liability and it would be under the balance sheet. But in your cash flow, you would be putting down the repayments. So when we look at these, we're doing an annual basis. You would normally split these into maybe a monthly basis if you were doing them for your business. So we're gonna say his ute repayments were $9,600 for the year. Cool. Nothing in here, it's not applicable. He took drawings, and so he paid himself a $50,000 salary for the year. Also not applicable, because his drawings could be a liability, or I guess you put them down as equity when you're looking at things, but it doesn't fall under the profit and loss. If you were taking wages, it would, but you would have already paid tax on them. Drawings is a different situation, so they come in on this side under your cash flow. And then there's a few things done at the end of the year. So some of the interest paid on this loan, Joe could claim back. So the interest was $2,000. So we're just making it nice and easy. And the depreciation on the ute was $7,500 for that first year. So he got to claim, pretty much his ute repayments back, but done in a different way. And that would change each year as well. It's not going to stay the same. So over here, you can really easily see he had a net profit of $50,500, because this minus this equals $50,500. I hope my math's right, guys. And then over here, he also had some things like tax to pay. So in here, he's going to have to pay tax on this figure of $50,500, and he's running as a sole trader. He's not running as a company, so his tax rate would be across multiple different tax percentages. It wouldn't be one set rate like the company one is. So his tax works out to be about, and this depends on what financial year you're working out, but about $8,020. And his GST he would have had to pay over this financial year, if you looked at all of this, was $6,000. Now his net cash flow is minus $4,620. And this is why you should always have a cash flow and a profit and loss. Because when you're sitting with your accountant, if you've just done a cash flow budget, you're like, cool. But it doesn't take into account things like the drawings you're taking and the ute repayments. So if at the start of the year, when he started this business, Joe, if he'd done both a cash flow and a profit and loss, he would have known he either couldn't afford to purchase a ute, because if you took away this repayment, this would go up as well because you wouldn't have these things, but this would also go up, and he probably shouldn't have paid himself 50 grand in drawings. If he dropped that to 40,000, removed that, this figure would have gone up, but he would have had money left to pay the tax that was gonna owe, because if that figure goes up, that'll go up a little bit. He could have been in the positive cash flow. That is why they are both very important, and as important as each other, especially when you're new to business, but to be honest with you, even when you're a big business, because they tell a completely different story, right? At the end of the thing, he has negative money left. He can't afford to pay one of these things, probably going to be your tax. But over here, he's looking like, ooh, I made money for the year. So that is our little learning education series for today, guys. If you have any questions, if you found that helpful, let us know in the comments. Thanks.